Make yourself at home. I'll be out in a minute. Help yourself to a drink.
Is Mr. Case not at home?
There is no Mr. Case. The T is for Tiffany.
Tiffany Case? Definitely distinctive.
I was born there, on the first floor while my mother was looking for a wedding ring.
Well, I'm glad for your sake it wasn't Van Cleef and our pal. Weren't you blonde when I came in?
Could be.
I tend to notice little things like that, whether a girl is a blonde or a brunette.
And which do you prefer?
Oh, providing the collars and cuffs match.
We'll talk about that later. Let me have your glass. I'll get you some ice.
He still don't know I'm trans.
This boy be in my DM say I'm pretty. This boy be in my DM say I'm pretty. I wonder if he knows.
He didn't know I was transgender, but he looked good though.
You know you was wrong for what you did.
What I do?
You know you were hella wrong for what you did.
What are you talking about?
Really?
What did I do?
So you can't see these other niggas, they won't call you again. That's enough. You're too slow.
Wow, that's a great question. I wasn't expecting that question.
If you don't wanna see me, did a full 180, did a full 180, did a full 180, did a full 180, did a full.
That one. You caught my attention, and so did she. But what I'm saying is, two thick-ass, beautiful black women walking around downtown just don't happen that way. Y'all must be trying to do some undercover shit.
Put the light on when I hit the go. Gotta shoot you at her. Refugee way in the cut with my twin, we be vibing. Classy bitch.
Y'all, he doesn't know I'm trans.
Yep, you might as well pick out what color casket you want, my boy, because you finna die.
Going out on date without telling him I'm trans.
Is the definition of fuck around and...
Would a little bit of sexual honesty hurt? All I'm saying is that wouldn't that be best for safety purposes? Part of getting to truly know someone is basic communication, and if you're coming into a thing dishonestly, then how valid could it be? We are inundated with a pervasive narrative centered or decentered on gender issues these days. News programs have become propaganda mills, churning everyday issues up in an intersectional blender, continuously reinforcing a certain ideology to the point of regurgitation. Diversity, acceptance, and inclusion, but those same people refuse to say black people. Everything seemed to be about pronouns conveniently wrapped up in a black female facade with that signature bushy wig atop it like a bow. You're expected to put skin in the game for nothing in return. Expected to walk that school lunch line with your metal tray and take a dollop of slop, telling yourself it's a 5-course meal when it isn't. Tell yourself it's a fish dinner when it's a big, unwashed piece of raw meat instead. And if you have any complaints about not getting what you essentially paid for, you're in the wrong. In fact, there is something wrong with you that needs to be changed. Re-education to fit in with the status quo as dictated by whom? Kings, I had a big laugh watching all those TikTok clips of young brothers with women who, weren't exactly women. Then I stopped laughing when I realized that you really couldn't tell them apart from real run-of-the-mill black women at first glance. Several of the subjects in the videos had already received what is now being called gender-affirming care and could mostly pass for sisters. So invariably being wholly empathetic, I pondered what likely happened when the inevitable big reveal occurred. You know what I'm talking about. Back in the day, there was this movie, The Crying Game, which centered on a terrorist's coincidental and increasingly codependent relationship with the odd, flighty girlfriend of a soldier his cell kidnapped and eventually killed. The well-meaning guy, racked with guilt, got involved and eventually discovered the woman in question was trans after receiving a BJ. This was filmed in lurid, detached fashion, immersing any clueless viewers in an extreme close-up as this guy undid her robe to find a peen, face level. "You were messing with me, so I thought you knew," was her paraphrased response after receiving the back of his hand. For the rest of the movie, this guy was unable to distance himself from this trans woman, partly out of a crippling sense of responsibility, even taking the blame for a murder committed by her/him pronoun. The trans woman, femme fatale, was seen at the conclusion of the film visiting the guy in prison, professing her undying love for him as he facepalmed. I feel in some respects, this is the narrative conclusion that is expected of us, particularly straight black men. Carpet bomb the F out of the target audience until they crack and break, eventually accepting it through acute gaslighting and emotional terrorism. "It is what it is" has become an ironclad, self-defeating mantra for those of us steered kicking and screaming into the brick wall of their narrative. Commercial and government-approved Stockholm Syndrome. It is what it is, right, kings? Do the collars and cuffs match? You might want to check under the skirt if you're thinking about playing around in the sexual marketplace circa 2024. The rules are decidedly one-sided, reinforced by legislature, drafted up by people unaffected by it directly. No one is required to disclose their sexual identity or biological gender, and it is a felony hate crime if you react emotionally, that is, with your fists. So that being said, given all of the propaganda and state-sponsored gaslighting, would a little bit of sexual honesty hurt? Sisters, your garish fashion trends and growing body dysmorphia-influenced propaganda have just made it easier for the alternatives to blend in nearly seamlessly. Maybe it's time for the baby hair bubble gum-colored weaves to go the way of the dinosaur. Your body, your choice has made it easy for they/them to plagiarize your biological gender. How do you feel about that, girls? Collars and cuffs, girls? Or are you? Depends on how open-minded you are, fellas. Kings, keep your head on a swivel, protect your bag, and keep your partners sexually honest. I don't need to say the rest because counterfeit women cannot have children. SYSBM means save yourself, black men. It's not a crime to inquire about biological gender here in the future, kings. Peace out.
When he can't tell I'm a trans woman.